interest rates, are they going up? And if they are, what do you need to do about it? Interest rates are incredibly low. Base rates at 0.1%. It hardly seems possible for them to go any lower, but of course they can go negative, so they can go lower. But that's not where their action is. The action is all about them potentially increasing. So in this video, I want to look at some of the things that are actually forcing interest rates up at the moment, and then to look at what you can do to protect yourself, to make sure you're okay, your finances are okay, if interest rates do increase. I do regular updates on tax and accounting issues, so if you want to be kept up to date, please subscribe to the channel, and if you press that like button, it really helps me and it helps the channel. Thank you. So why am I talking about interest rates? Well, we have all seen what's happening to inflation. So inflation is clearly running quite fast. We can see that in all the prices we pay for almost everything. So we know that inflation is reasonably fast, and the classic way to control that is by increases in interest rates. But we know more than that. So if you look at, you can look at the sort of 10-year, what the government has to pay to borrow money for 10 years, and that's a published rate. And over the last month, since the beginning of September, that rate has doubled. Now it's only doubled to about 1.2%, so it's not doubled to a high level, but it has doubled, and it's gone up from a whole percent over the course of this year, 2021. So there has been some significant increase in long-term interest rates, and that will be knocking on to having an effect on fixed rate mortgages in particular. So we can see that interest rates are going, those long-term interest rates are going up, and that is mirrored by now an expectation that that 0.1% rate of interest will go up to a whole 0.25% perhaps this year, and maybe 0.75% in next year. Now, having said that, I do not believe that they'll suddenly be at 3 or 4% in the short term, because I don't actually think the economy and the markets would accept it, and I think there'll be the almighty crash. So I just don't think that they'll do that, but you never know, particularly if inflation starts to really kick in. And we must remember, of course, that in any other time apart from the period from 2008, the even 3% interest rates would have been unthinkably low. And I was brought up in a world where interest rates were generally over 10%, and I'm fairly sure that neither the property market nor the stock exchange would stand for that, and there would be the almighty crash. So I don't think that I'm not saying that they'll go up like that. So if interest rates are going to go up somewhat, then what do we need to do just to protect ourselves? I mean, the first thing to note is that I think if interest rates do go up substantially, then there will be a cooling off in the property market. I feel fairly confident in that, although even like 2% interest rate is much lower than the rate of inflation. So if you put your money in the bank and you got 2% interest, you would still be losing money through inflation year on year, and that does need to be remembered, and I'm sure that that will be the counterweight for the property market. But of course, interest has to be paid from cash, not just the appreciation in property prices. So I think that it's in everybody's interest, and certainly in my interest, to make sure that I can afford to pay a little bit higher interest rates, so that I'm not going to be, financially embarrassed. And there are a number of things that you can do to make sure that you are protected from a world where interest rates are a little bit higher. So making sure that you're not dependent on the property prices going up, making sure that you can meet all of your interest payments, even at 2 or 3 or a little bit more %, so that you know that you can do it. Of course, if you needed to sell property to achieve that surety, then the property market is really strong at the moment. So it is a time when you can sell quite easily. And also, of course, you can fix. It may be worth thinking about making sure that you can make payments by fixing some of those interest rates. You might be paying a little bit more than you would a few months ago, but paying a little bit to have that assurance that that you will be absolutely sure that you can make your payments every month is something that might be worth considering. And of course, like all these things, it does depend on your personal circumstances. And it's always a good idea to have an emergency fund. So an increase in the interest rate might cause a shock into the economy, and who knows what would happen. You know, it might cause all sorts of things. So having emergency funds, particularly creating emergency funds while trading is good, I think is a really important thing. And I think all business owners should have an emergency fund, so that for the unexpected, to prepare for the unexpected, because we all know that the unexpected is just part of the game when you have your own business. So what do I think will happen? Well, I think interest rates are likely to go up. I think they'll go up very gradually, and I think they'll go up by tiny amounts. Do I think inflation will go up? Yes. Do I think it is transitory, so it'll go up and then down? I think it'll probably be partially transitory. It'll go up and then halfway down, but we'll still have a little bit of inflation remaining, I suspect. But what do I know? It's very difficult to predict. And a lot of the interest rates and a lot of these things are determined by government policy, and I certainly can't read the minds of the powers that be. So it's a bit of a cautionary tale, this. So interest rates actually are going up in the market. We need to be aware of that. We need to make sure that we're protected, so that we're okay if interest rates do go up. And then just be aware of it, and hopefully business will be strong enough to see us through any resulting damage from any increases in the interest rate. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to be kept up to date on tax and accounting issues, then please subscribe to the channel, and pressing the like button really helps me and the channel. Thank you very much.